Yeah, let me know.
Hey, everybody. Look who's
I
back.
have returned.
Yeah. After being MIA for the summer, having a life and doing a job, I guess. The internship
Yep.
is what takes up most of your time, right?
Yeah, definitely from 8 to 4:30, sometimes even 5 because like you stay late for 5:30. Yeah.
Oh, well, cool. Have you been doing the same internship every summer, like at the same place?
Yeah, at the same place because it's one of those where every time you return, they have you do something new. So it's
Cool.
close, it's nearby, it's in the field that I'm in. So as long as you're learning more stuff, you get access to more like systems or stuff to do. So yeah.
And Dee Dee says I pulled you out of a hot.
Well, she
Hey,
retracted it, so I couldn't even read what she said, but she pulled me out of
oh,
what?
out of a hot. I see it on the StreamYard side, so it cannot
Hmm.
be retracted on StreamYard. I still see it. I still
Oh, a
see your
hat. Gotcha.
mistake, Dee Dee. Oh man. Yeah, I should open up the YouTube side so I can see those chats too. Those are like the member milestones and all that sort of
Hmm.
thing. I'm out of practice. It's been a whole freaking week since I've streamed.
You gotta. That means it's just a sign you gotta stream every day to keep those gears in line. And
You know.
yeah.
No, no, no. That's how I burn out. Uh,
True.
Dee Dee does says you do look hot in that suit though.
I know, right? Or especially for you, Didi.
Nice.
I do
She
look
looks
very
really
orange
good.
in this room, though. Even though there's nothing orange in here, it's a gray wall behind me, in front of me, and then a white wall behind me. It's just the way this room is set up.
Is that the quiet room?
Hmm.
Is it the same room that you streamed in last time? Like
No,
last
this is one floor below because my dorm is a level below, so I have to use this one.
Nice. Zinger, Woot, Myrtle plants. Haven't talked to you in so
Hey,
long. Good
Zen.
to see you. Look, Zen paid for your return. Nice. Yeah, Brooklyn's doing rescaping because she's got algae issues in the carpet. She's ripping up the carpet and gonna replant it. And I think she was saying that there is bare eco complete there, and I remember having the same problem. And part of the reason I despised eco complete was it just was an algae magnet.
It
I don't know.
grabs onto algae. There's no way for you to clean it once it grabs on because all those nooks and crannies in eco complete. Yeah.
And Brooklyn has dragged in another local.
Really?
Uh, terrible six. Yeah, terrible six.
Okay.
Apparently
For a
lives in
second, I thought you
Central.
were saying she did a terrible thing.
She did a terrible thing by bringing in a terrible name. Terrible, terrible six. Apparently lives in Central. So probably pretty close to us. But yeah, welcome. We love new people. Learn about plants. And Myrtle's got updates because you were gone for a summer. You had to neglect a tank, right? Or uh-oh, I can't hear you. Something happened. You got muted. Can't hear you. I can just fill in what you're saying. Who can read lips? He's saying blah 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 blah. Look at my plants. They're amazing. Huh. All right. Let him sort that out then. Um so yeah, he shall be back. Device is not connected. So for anyone wondering where Kelly is, unfortunately, she lost dog. She lost her dog this weekend, so she is grieving, understandably so. Um, so if you happen to see Kelly in the wild in chats and stuff, wish her well because it's yeah. I think everyone who has had pets in chat who have had to deal with a loss like that totally understand how crappy that can be. Can
Okay,
we
can
hear
you
you?
hear me now?
Yay!
Hello? Okay, I'm
Yeah.
back. Yay.
Just yeah, it just sounds. Did you use a different mic or something?
Oh no, it's the same one that I was using before. Is it different now?
I don't know why. It's fine. It sounded a little bit different, like you're streaming from a bathroom, like a little
Oh,
bit of like.
the AC is going. How about now? Is this a little bit different from a couple seconds
It was
ago?
fine before.
Okay.
Don't turn off the AC.
Oh no, I can't turn it off anyways. This room doesn't have any buttons on the control, so it's
Okay.
gonna go on. Yeah.
Okay. See, Terry said she's got a crew of rainbows too.
Ooh, nice.
I love rainbows.
What
This
kind?
is where most of my rainbows are in this 90 gallon. And you've got in the tank behind you, you've got Bosemani. Is that do you have any other
Yeah.
species of rainbows?
Yeah, so I have that one boss. I rescued some fish from someone who had a tank go bad. It was leaking. So I rescued one Bosmani from him and two turquoise, and they're still in the tank, and a couple albino cories. So that's where I got those from. I would never buy albino cories out of my own volition. There's so many other beautiful cories, but he had them, and the tank was leaking, so I said I'll home them. So yeah.
Yeah. See, I'm kind of the same about the albino fish. I've been racist against the albino fish since starting fish keeping. The one exception I've made is I really love the albino bristlenose, the longfin bristlenose that's in this
Yeah,
tank.
well, they look cool, so yeah.
But yeah, when there's so many different cories, then I get it. Like albino would be the bottom of the list
Yeah.
of the Corey collection. And how
Like
many?
there's almost nothing special about them. They don't stay small. They don't school in a fancy way. They're just white with red eyes. So,
And they breed a lot.
mhm. Of course,
So
of course, when I had mine breed a couple weeks ago, I did not pull any of the eggs except for like two when I saw them because I wasn't around to pull any of the eggs. I was like, oh, I'll get around to that later this afternoon. And then when I come back, all the eggs are gone. There's like two left on the power head because those Coreys were idiots and they laid them all on the power head where like as soon as something hatches, it's going to die by going through the power head, right? So it's like as soon as it hatches, it's going to get sucked in.
oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my
So
god, all
yeah.
that work to get out of the egg and immediately zoop.
Yep. So I ended up pulling out two, and then there's one in the ooh, dog or cat.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell.
Gonna see,
Dog.
it's a dog. And we'll see it loop in that point in the
Oh,
video.
it's part of the loop. I thought it was one of the ones where it was like coming through the desk. Is it part that's part of the video? That's one of that one?
Yeah, I
Gotcha.
set up the tripod, walked away, and
I
the
remember that.
dogs
I
were
just
all
couldn't
were
remember.
nice
Yeah.
and settled while it was recording, and then I think it must have been Jenna getting home from somewhere, and the dogs like activated.
But yeah. Anyways, so the Corys, two of them hatched. One of them didn't make it because they didn't have one eye. Like they were missing an eye. So I'm guessing they were missing other things internally as well.
Mm,
Um, because they didn't make it past like the first day or so. But the other Cory is doing well. It's in a breeder box in the tank now. So yeah,
yeah.
out of
Dee Dee
like
said her
60 eggs, I got like two,
well, I mean, how many do you actually want?
not 60 definitely,
No.
because I'd have to house them and get them to get home them again, and that's not going to be fun. People
I
don't
took
want
for
albino pups.
I took for granted that the orange Venezuelans just never stopped breeding. But now something I think primarily it's the Siamese algae eaters have
Mhm.
developed a taste for the fresh out the chute, like Dee
Oh
Dee
yeah, they
said.
will. Yeah, they definitely
They eat
will.
their eggs as soon as
All
they
the
pop out
fish
of the
love
chute.
hot and fresh. Yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
But it used to be we could walk in the living room, we could find hundreds on the glass and just harvest them at our leisure and wait until they're not like super sticky and soft. But
Mhm.
now if I want to harvest the eggs, I gotta like watch them rub the eggs on the glass and get
As soon
them
as they're laid.
ASAP.
Yep.
Either that or like guard them and shoo away the fishes that keep trying to eat them.
It's
But
just how it is because once they make a taste for it, they're just gonna keep eating and eating and eating.
I have a decent batch that I've raised to like past the fragile state of being small, at least. Like they're going
Mhm.
to probably start breeding themselves soon. I have them in the plant farm.
Well, that's good, yeah, because now you have a colony of them, and multiple generations in that tank. So
Yeah. And I do wish my Corys would breed though. What kind of
the Adelphoi ones, didn't they breed for you? No, they haven't.
the Adolphois, they've laid eggs and I've had
Mhm.
hatchlings and I can't get the damn fry to I'm
Raise
probably
up.
just being too negligent. Like I've taken for granted like the other stuff survives fine. I think the Adolphois, they need a little bit more TLC and
Mhm.
maybe I'll do indiscriminate water changes and I won't pay attention to like matching the parameters exactly and stuff like that. And I won't feed more than once a day sometimes. 3 Julieyes and 1 albino. Ooh, if those are real Julieyes and not
The false
trilin
ones. Then yeah,
yeah,
if you get them breeding, then
triliniatis.
yeah, please do breed them. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, but if you got them locally and they were labeled as Juliei, they're probably triliniatis. I have a bunch of those, and they used to breed for me all the time. I guess they still do, but they like to lay it on lay the eggs on the plants, and
Hmm.
I don't see them. Adolphoi take time. Yeah, they do. They definitely take more attention since they're not. It's not like the orange Venezuelans that will lay hundreds at a time. The Adolphoi, it's like I'm lucky if I find 5 eggs.
Hmm. It depends on the type of cory itself. Like pygmy cories, they won't lay too many eggs either. They'll if you have a bunch of
Mhm.
them, they'll start laying, but each individual cory won't lay a lot. Compared to the Venezuelans that you have, they're like each individual one lays a lot. So
Um, the pygmies that I got from Bex, they are look like they want to lay eggs. I think
oh, they're doing the glass at the surfing around the glass and
they're
like
surfing around the glass.
running around
They are
each other.
super fat as well,
Hmm.
like very well conditioned. I've been stuffing them with food. I think the problem is I can't do cold water changes at all. They're all hot water changes.
Yeah, same
The
here. Yeah.
tap water during the day the tap water is 85 degrees. It's so freaking hot here. At night it's like I don't know 80, 81, 82.
But that's still warmer than your tanks at home. Like
Yeah, it
even
is.
if you do water changes at night, it's still cold, warm. Yeah.
Yeah,
What
the
I've
tank is
resorted to
75.
doing, yeah, what I've been doing lately is since I only change like 20 gallons at a time in the fish tank, like 20, 25-ish. So I've had like glasses of water that I just put into the freezer and I freeze them and turn them into ice. When I'm doing the water change, I put it into the bucket and I try to get it as cold as I can. And then it settles around like 79, 78. So it's a cool water change once a week so that the tank is that temperature for at least like 2 hours before it rises back up to 86 or 83,
Mhm.
whatever it is right now. But yeah, kind of helps the cories like spawn too if it works.
Yeah. Beck said, I just realized your new background video has my barbs in there. Yeah, God, when a couple of weeks ago I changed it, but I'm gonna have to refilm it because the dog makes an appearance.
I mean,
And
it's a nice little tidbit for everyone to look out for. It's
yeah,
like
and also the
watch out for
tripod
dog.
was kind of like unstable, and so it like rocks a little bit. I don't like that. Bothers me. Let's see. Terry said, I think they are. They came from Aquahuna. Unfortunately, I also got my that were labeled Julii from Aquahuna, and they're not Julii. They're the false Julii. They're Triliniatis. And yeah, what sucks is I see Dan's Fish selling the true Juliis for $50 a piece, but
Yeah,
Triliniatis is like a $5 quarry.
fraction of it. Yeah, like a
You know,
tenth or so of the
not
price. Yeah.
even not even worth breeding other than for fun without effort.
Yep, just to
Brookley
put it under your
says
belt. Yeah.
Brookley says, I'm out of flake food. Let me know when you're ordering again. Brookley, I ordered this weekend.
No,
I'm
well, you can just give her a
sorry.
box. Yeah, you can give her one of your boxes.
I'll have plenty. I ordered from Ken's Fish and I ordered he has like stick food, like little mini
Mhm.
sticks, and I got
Yeah.
earthworm and blackworm
Oh, nice.
just to try. So and oh yeah, what else? Black soldier fly is a larva is the other one
Fish
I got.
generally go for that. Yeah.
Mhm.
What large brand sells? What is it? Fluval has. Oh God, what's
Fluval's
it
got
called?
the bug
Bug bites.
bites.
That's what they have. Yeah, that's one that has black soldier fly larva. Yeah, it's pretty good for the fish.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, they don't need They don't need cold water changes to breed. Probably
Yeah, they don't
not.
need
But
it. It helps them like trigger the breeding. Yeah, because they'll breed without you doing cold water changes. Like they don't have to have
mhm.
it. It's just it's a
Yeah,
trick.
like the orange Venezuelans don't need it either. But if I do like a week or two of baby brine shrimp on the orange Venezuelans, followed by a cold water change, they go absolutely bonkers.
Yep.
Let's see. I'll have to send Berkeley a pic and see if y'all can tell. Yeah, it's I forget how they describe it. Like the Juliais are spotted, and then the Trileniatis are more like uh
Stripe-ish. Like
stripey. That are sort of like
the dots are more in a line compared to that.
yeah, and they're less round. They're more
Hmm.
stripey, I guess. Food's the key. Yes, indeed.
Hmm.
Conditioning them for breeding. I'm hoping like doing the mixture of like the black worm pellets, and not have to deal with live black worms if I don't have to. But baby brine shrimp is going to be the staple. Baby brine shrimp in basically every tank. I'll do 2 scoops of baby brine, like the aquarium co-op scoops, and
Hmm.
I'll feed every tank with that.
That every day. Yeah.
Yep, every day that I am not lazy, at least.
Oh, yeah, I definitely get lazy when feeding baby brine. Unless I make like a big batch and I put it in the fridge or freeze it like cubes. It's not as good as obviously as fresh baby brine that you're
Hmm.
hatching out every day or twice a day sometimes if you have two setups going in sync. But yeah, I get lazy. I mean, I get
Yeah,
lazy feeding dried foods. Like I'm like I don't want to open a tin and like pour stuff out. So
yeah. When there's 20 tanks to feed, like I have to grab flake out of there. Uh, like if I have a fresh hatch of baby brine, I just get the dropper thing and
mhm.
go around. I've also been using the decapsulated eggs, just like soaking those in water for a bit and feeding those, and they seem to go nuts for those just as much too.
Nice.
Let's see, blackworm pellets are a must. Okay, good, because I didn't want to get live blackworms. The live cultures I've got are grindle worms because they're easy, and baby brine shrimp because it's easy. Oh, and I guess vinegar eels, but I have not touched that culture in forever.
It should still be fine. I mean, vinegar eels are one of the more stable cultures. I mean, as long as you
Yeah.
have vinegar, there's something like an apple or something there for them to feed on, they
Hmm.
should be fine forever,
Yep.
or practically forever. Nothing lasts forever. But yeah, those are good cultures to have. Like, and in the summer, I wouldn't recommend you order anything from online because it'll come into you with like
It'll be
rot. It'll just be a
disgusting.
death. Like you
Yeah.
open it's gonna be death. Yeah.
Yeah. And I know, I mean, everyone says like micro worms are great, and Walter worms and white worms and stuff. But then I hear that they stink, and I'm like, I don't want no smelly
Yeah.
culture that I have to refresh. And yeah, nah,
Especially with
no
the
thanks.
box foods that you have to mix up to make with them. Some people use box food, some people use cat litter, or not cat litter, cat food, all that stuff. Yeah, it
Yeah,
smells.
the oatmeal and mashed potato substrate, and
It
knowing
smells too,
that,
and it ends up smelling, believe
yeah, because it's not even the mashed potatoes that they feed on; it's the disgusting
me.
bacteria
Rot,
that forms
decay,
from the
yeah.
putrid mashed potatoes.
Yep.
Okay, so the first one to share, I guess, is the
Is the one
nice.
that actually looks good. Yeah. The one that
Okay,
says old image, yeah. So
yeah, and this is before
last
you
time
left.
I was here, my tank looked somewhat like this. It was nicely pruned and it was manicured and like the plants are all green and vibrant and you can see there's a healthy carpet going on in the bottom right. But summer hits. I get busy. It's multitudes warmer than it should be for that time of year. My
Hmm.
AC decides to go off, so my room's consistently at like 87, 88 degrees. But downstairs is also hot. It's in the 85, 87 range. So the plants end up while they grow because there's endless CO2, they end up looking like next slide, please. They end up looking like
How long? Wait, how long was your AC out?
oh well, technically it's still out because my room doesn't get cooling.
Oh
but
no.
the lower unit is fixed. Like there's
Okay.
cold air going in the lower units. It's just my room in the apartment that's upstairs that doesn't get anything. Um,
We would fucking die
oh,
with if
I've been
we had.
dying. I'm taking advantage of the AC in the dorm right now. I'm like blasted as low as this
Ah,
thing gets.
yes,
But yeah,
yes,
but it gets hot. I get busy, so I can't trim plants as often, and it turns into this jungle. So you
yep,
can see that things are shaded out. There's no light going down to the bottom. All of that green that you see in the center is all Pogostem Dasin, which is a very finicky plant, but if you let it sit, I guess it gets very large and takes over. It is a large plant. I shouldn't really have it in an 18-inch tall tank anyways, especially when I have 4 inches of substrate already. So that's the center is all Pogotas, and then on the left, that red-orange clump is Persicaria something, Sao Paulo, I think, and then Ludwigia lacustris. All of it has just taken over the whole tank. Nothing is getting light.
yeah.
So
It's hard to
this
tell
was
what's what.
yeah, like I'm guessing at this point. So when I was doing all the maintenance, I was like, I had to look at the plant very closely to look at the taxonomy of it to see, is it really this plant that I planted here? Because all of it just, I put all the reds together, all the greens, and they combine together. So
Yeah,
um anyways, this was like 4 to 6 weeks of me not doing anything to the tank apart from topping it off and making sure that the CO2 is still running.
I
So
love a jungle look like this, but I know that the problem with making this tank look like a jungle is the fact that a lot of the plants in here need light, or else they're gonna get
yeah,
snuffed out.
almost everything in the front I have is unique, like not rare, but it's unique in the point that if I lose it, I will have a hard time getting it back because I don't remember
Yeah,
who has it and I don't remember where I got it from. So this
yeah.
was a point where I was like, I have to set aside a Sunday or a Saturday and do maintenance. So what I did was, next slide, I cut all the plants out. Oh, wait, I can do next slide. Yeah. Oh, before that, I got to just one benefit of leaving your tank to do anything it
Ooh,
wants is you will see plants growing above the water and flowering. So if you look at the very right side of this image, you'll see some Linophila belem growing up above the water. I did not give it time to flower. I didn't want it to flower because I flowered it before. It's not very fancy. But the flower you see in the dead center, this is what happens when you let dwarf Sagittaria do its thing for weeks and weeks and weeks.
oh, no way. I
Yeah,
was
that's
like,
a
it looks
dwarf
like a
flower. So that's one of the flowers. Like dwarf sag has an interesting. It looks like carrot tops in a way. Like
uh-huh.
it sends out a flower spike, and then it'll have multiple little lines. That each of one of those lines has a flower on it. Only one of those opened here. There's more in the back in this picture. I just didn't take the picture of the whole thing. But yeah, that's a dwarf sag flower. Um,
Cool.
But yeah, it's a super annoying plant. But like if you get it to the point where it's flowering, it basically has taken over your whole tank at that point.
Yeah, like I've
Mhm.
never seen a dwarf sag flower. Once I see dwarf sag do the whole like, you know what, I'm not going to be dwarf anymore, and
Yep,
then
it gets
grow
like
up to the
feet
top of
tall.
the
Yeah, that's what
55.
happened with mine. So that's why I thought it was the Vallisneria that you sent me once. I was like, wait, no, it flowered, and the Vallisneria does not flower, so it has to be either like some sort that I couldn't think of, or dwarf sag. And I was like, once it
Oh,
flowers, like flower opens, I'll figure out that it is dwarf sag.
oh wait, so you were bitching at me for sending Val for nothing. I sent you dwarf sag instead,
Yeah, which is
which
kind of worse in a way
worse.
because in my tank it never stays short. It always grows tall. Even if I crank it up with like fluval lights and like extra stuff, in this tank it never stays short. It always grows tall. So I was like, why is mine getting so much val? It was dwarf sage. But yeah, it flowered. So what that means is the whole like right hand side of the tank is val, like not val, sorry, dwarf sage runners everywhere. So
Ugh.
yeah, let your tank go wild and you'll get to see stuff growing immersed. But
Hmm.
after that, you gotta like the trimming of it is not fun. And Luke, yes,
Yeah.
Valerian does flower. Yeah, it does, but it's not so small flowers like this. It's quite larger, I think. I haven't flowered it in my tank, I don't think, but I've seen them in the river, like the pictures you see in magazines and all. It's nowhere close to what this is. So yeah, I could definitely rule it out being any Valerian.
Okay. Yeah, I've never seen either of them flower. Like I've certainly seen them take over a tank and grow
Mhm. Yeah.
everywhere, even in places where like, hey, why would you even put a runner there?
Yeah.
Like it'll go under a log where it gets no light, and then you pull it out and it's like a completely
It's a
white
completely
weed.
white and yellow thing, but it's still
Yeah.
growing. It's like
Like why how? I guess you get
you
nutrients
wanted
from
me to
the
die, I will not die. I will live through whatever you give you put me through. That's what
uh-huh.
they are basically.
Nice. Let's see. Do you want me to go through it? The
Yes, please. Yeah.
slides? Okay.
So the next slide is part one of all the carnage. So I ripped out what I basically did was I just took scissors in and just snipped everything just left to right, and then pulled out all the stems and organized them as much as I could. So you have all the trash is in the most full container, I would say, and then the other ones are plants that I want to keep or try to salvage it up to a point where I can send them to someone. This took
Someone whose weather doesn't suck.
Yeah, because that's
Currently.
what I was trying to do is like who has the coldest weather right now who can take plants even with like 2 ice packs and like wrapping it with foil and plastic and paper towels and all of that stuff and double insulated bags. Um, Spoiler alert, the plants do kind of end up being sad when they arrived, but I'll get to that point later on. So
Mm.
this was 4 hours of me trimming and sorting plants. My hands were cramped as all get out because I was using the spring scissors that you get, like the surgical spring scissors. I
Mhm.
forgot what they're called, but those, and I was using the uncomfortable scaping tongs, scissors that are long, the like 13-inch scissors that have like the tiny little
Right.
holes. So I was using those to trim. So they were very uncomfortable, let's just say.
Yeah. I don't even see. I don't even use the scissors. If I have to do that kind of trimming, I
Use fingernails.
will.
I didn't have long fingers. I didn't plan ahead. So I
Uh,
had just cut my nails and I was like, oh, there's no way I'm pinching plants with this. I'm gonna ruin the stems. So
wow.
yeah. And in this picture, you'll see in like the back, you'll see an open container of Fritz's what's it called? ACCR or something, their water conditioner. I
Mhm.
was doing constant water changes while this was running so that I could see things. Because when I was trimming, everything would cloud up. Like the tank looks like chocolate milk. We'll see in a future image. That's after like multiple water changes.
Were
Before
you
it's
doing just water out and then water back in, or did you have
Yeah, so
like one?
I had a pump pulling water out, and then no, I had a siphon pulling water into a bucket, and then it was a pump set up near the sink. Every time I emptied a bucket, I put it into the sink and then fill a bucket in, because I only have one pump, so the pump was set up to fill water, and then I would bucket water out of the tank whenever it got cloudy, and
Okay, yeah.
siphon as much of the gunk out of the substrate as I could.
I
Um,
wanted to do that. I really wanted to do that from the plant farm whenever I was moving stuff around in there because
mhm.
it. I pulled out. I had to move a sword,
Oh
and
Jesus, yeah. Mhm.
when I pulled out the sword, it was pulling up all the muck from the sand.
Yep.
Okay,
The sand itself would have probably the sand would have been breathing like this when you were pulling it out, I'm guessing. Yeah. And then as soon as the sword comes out, it just goes whoosh, and then it just releases all
yeah.
the
Well,
muck.
like not only was it
Yeah.
the sand, it was the of course the aqua soil underneath, and then underneath
Mm-hmm.
that is that the
Laterite,
disgusting fluorite.
fluorite,
The
no, yeah.
yeah, so it's just like a pink
It's a
brown
pinkish red,
smoothie.
yeah.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
Yep. Yeah.
All
It's not
right.
fun to pull that stuff out. Yeah. Anyways,
Mm-mm.
so going on to the next. So yeah, I was constantly changing water and adding conditioner to make sure that the water is still dechlorinated so the fish don't have any adverse reactions. But
Right.
yeah, so that's the first part of this project. And then going on to the next slide.
Oh, look at that. Terry's a CO2 injector too.
Ooh,
Awesome.
nice. Yeah, the same size. What tank do you have that 10 pound on, Terry? May I ask?
Yeah, I'd like to know as well.
Yeah, because if it's like a 10 pound on like a 180 gallon, she's gonna be replacing it weekly. No, not weekly. Very often, let's just say. And
Mhm.
then, but on like a 5 gallon, it's a forever tank. Um,
Right. She said the only thing she's had bloom is Anubias. Yeah, I've had the Anubias flower, which you don't really need
yeah,
CO2.
yeah.
Actually,
It
a lot of
it
my
helps. Like,
flowering, what?
oh, go ahead. You were saying something.
Like a lot of the stuff that flowers for me is not necessarily in CO2 injected tanks. Like the only
It's in
time,
conditions, it's in tanks where the conditions aren't optimal, because that's what they're trying to propagate. Like flowering generally isn't when a plant's happy. Like it does happen when it's happy, but also when it's really sad, a plant will try to flower, right? Especially
yeah.
Anubias and Bucephalandras and
Oh my God.
Cryptocoryls. Yeah, all
Yeah,
three of those. Like yeah.
my boost goes nuts with the flowers because it's just full of spot algae.
Hmm.
Booster's really making me mad.
Yeah.
But I don't
I
want to
have
give
some in
up.
this tank. I don't know what type it is, but
Mm,
yeah, it does almost nothing unless like you do give it nothing. If you give it nothing, it does something. If you give it everything, it does nothing.
yeah. The one time I had crypt flower is in Genus tank with no CO2.
The
But
Nereai, yeah.
yeah, but it was not in peril. It's been doing really well. Been propagating. So she has that 10-pounder on a 55. That's not bad.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
It's
It'll
been a
last
few
you like 5
months.
or 6 months. Yeah. 3 to 6 months.
So Zenger says, question, could I use any of the aquarium plant cuttings if they were spread out and completely dried, as fish shrimp tank botanicals are mostly just terrestrial?
They wouldn't do much because there isn't much hard
Th-
cellulose in
right,
the
they'd
aquatic
break down
plants, so there's
instantly.
nothing to break down into tannins and everything. It's just, if anything, is gonna rehydrate in the water and break down within like 2 days,
Yeah,
give
it'll
you no
just
tannins,
slime
no
up.
benefits. It's gonna become a sludge, like a sticky, not sticky, but like gooey slime. It's not gonna do anything other than make your water worse. You can use it in like a garden, just like sprinkle it over like the soil because it's just compost, right? So if once it's dried up, it's just added to the
Mhm.
soil and it's good for your garden. But I wouldn't add it back to your tank.
Yeah. Let's see. You need to feed it good and then stress it. Also, photoperiod can influence flowering cycles. Yep, that's true.
Yep. Also, the type of light you're giving it sounds like different wavelengths promote different types of growth. So there are wavelengths that promote flowering, there are wavelengths that promote leaf growth, there are wavelengths that promote propagation, like spreading of plants. So yeah.
Brookley
Oh
is
no.
having trouble finding her hill. So she has 3 spotted hill streams that
Mhm.
she got from Dan. She put in her 40-gallon, I think. That's a very densely planted tank. And I don't know about spotted hill streams. I had one in a tank, like a strawberry spotted hill stream, $24 impulse purchase fish that I got from Louisiana Fish Store.
Mhm.
And that thing, it would grace me with its presence maybe once every couple of months. The reticulated ones, they're all over the place all the time though. So I don't know if there's like a difference in the what environment they prefer, or just like their temperament and
It could be,
how
and
shy
they
they
could
are.
just be a very shy fish. So
Hopefully you didn't lose them, but if you're going to be doing like a lot of work on that tank and taking out a lot of plants, you might end up finding them.
yep. Because if you like, we all know, Berkeley, you're going to be moving things around in that tank. So if they're in there, they're going to show up when you move things around next.
Yeah, Berkeley says my tank doesn't last long at all. It's so frustrating. Yeah, I think you have the 5-pound. You're trying to inject a 40 and a 29 with a 5-pound. It's
Yeah,
not going to last long.
it's bare. It's barely enough for a 29 gallon. So doing a 40 and a 29 on it. Yeah,
I have a 5 on a 40, and it sucks.
yeah.
And then I have a 10 on 240s, and that also sucks.
Because it's the same thing. It's yeah.
Yes, and then I have a 20 on a 90, and that is good.
Yep.
It's fine.
What you could do is take that 20 and plummet to all 340s because it's just adding 10 gallons to that 20-pound, right? And then you can take 15 to the 90 and you're slightly inconveniencing the 90, but you're giving the 40s a benefit with that 20-pound.
Yeah.
But then you have to rework your regulators and all. So yeah.
Well, so the
If you
thing
don't
is,
have the manifolds for it.
I have in the living room, off in one corner, one CO2 injected tank, and then the bedroom
Oh yeah,
has
yours are not
2
all in the same
tanks.
spots. So yeah.
Yeah, and they're like across the room from each other. And then in the dining room, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I have 2 regulators in there, splitting those
Mhm.
between the five tanks in there. I would really love to get like the biggest CO2 tank that I could
Available.
carry and
Uh-huh.
put it in one spot, and then do like run attic line or something.
Yeah, I was going to say that
Like
right after you
8
stopped talking.
manifolds.
Yeah. Just like do
Uh-huh.
what Luke does and just like run the CO2 line up above and then just like run it to different rooms. But you talking about the biggest tank also reminds me of one more thing. After the
Mhm.
stream is over, I have to send you a link to a TikTok I watched where this guy is rolling 2 CO2 cylinders. Like I don't know if they're CO2, but they were gas cylinders. He was rolling them. They were big ass cylinders. He was rolling them with ease. So I wanted to show you that to say
He was
intense
rolling them.
Aquarius. Yeah, I'll show you. I'll send you a link. I can't explain it really well, but I'll send you a link after
Oh,
the stream is done. Yeah.
it wasn't like those TikToks where they like roll the glass bottles down the stairs, but
Oh no no no
with
no
CO2
no.
and just watch them launch. See,
Yep.
so Beck said, doing my 5 pound, the 14 once escaped. See, that's 5 pound on a 14 is great.
It's perfect. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. I have a 5 pound on it's split between 3 tanks, but it's like a 7 gallon, a 10 gallon, and a 2.5. So
Yeah, that's fine. That's
kind of,
what,
yeah.
14-ish gallons again. That's 14 and a
Yeah,
half.
it was like 20 gallons, but carry with a hand truck. Yeah, like a 50 pound or more CO2 tank. That would be awesome.
Yep. It'll be a hassle to get it filled though, because you'll have to lug it out of the house and bring it back. But
Yeah, that I wouldn't put that on Jen. I'd have to go get that one filled.
yeah, you'd have to do it yourself. You'd have to actually leave the house to do that part.
Damn
So
it.
you have a
Well,
setup
that plan is
calendar.
squashed.
Yeah.
Okay, water changes.
Oh yeah,
On the
water changes.
flood.
So yeah, this is after I pulled all the large plants out. So like the whole back is empty. Like I've left the lobelia in the back, um, the Aponogetons in the center with that Semolus up front. This is all that I had left of Ludwigia Palustris red. Some of it in this corner in the center as well. But yeah, so I tried to keep the flowers from the Aponogeton intact while I was doing everything, so that I didn't pluck any of the seeds out.
Cool.
But yeah, you can see how cloudy it is, and this is after like 400% water changes.
I would like to know how that works out.
Yeah, I want to know that too. I know
7
theoretically
manifolds.
some of them can run 8, like if you have the right setup.
The aquarium co-op one claims to support up to 8.
But I really want to know how it, like, in practicality, how it works. Like in theory, you can run
Right.
8 for a lot of these regulators, but in practicality, I want to see how it ends up going. Yeah, let us know if you like find any issues with that, please.
So yeah, this is the most annoying part about having a planted tank is when you have to do this kind of heavy maintenance on it.
Mhm.
Like the hand cramps from the damn scissors, but then like you're trying to move shit around and then you have to
You can't
deal
see
with
anything.
mucky
Like you
water.
can barely see past that little turquoise in the left side. Behind that turquoise, you don't know anything that's happening.
Mm-mm.
So, and another thing, I want to keep the plants clean, so I'm going in with like a it's one of those it's not turkey baster, it's one of those things that doctors give you to clean your ears, little
Oh,
bulb things.
yeah, like
I forgot what
a
they're called.
bulb. I think they call them bulb syringes.
Bulb syringes, yeah.
We
I
used
have
to
one of
use
those for
those
the fish
to
tank, yeah.
suck the snot out of our babies
Yep,
when they were younger.
that's why we have one actually for my sister. Yes, I stole it for the fish tank after she
Nice.
grew out of it. But yeah, so I would go around with that and clean. I would jet water on all the plants to keep them from accumulating dust, because once you get enough dust on it, cakes on and then it never gets off. So, and that becomes prime algae growing media.
Yep.
So.
And the like the fine leaf plants, it does a really good job of holding on to that crap
Oh
too.
yeah, it does really. Yeah, for that one you have to use your fingers or like raise like something flat and just make strong waves on it. Yeah. But yeah,
Let's
this was
see.
after like 400% water changes, maybe even more. I can't remember, but it's still pretty cloudy. So that's one view. The next one should be a top-down view of the same thing.
Okay.
Oh,
Oops.
went to that
Sorry.
one.
I
Nope.
went. What?
I forgot
Wait.
that.
Where am I going?
Wait, wrong way. This way. Back, back.
Oh, I was clicking while you were clicking. That's why.
Oh, okay, that's that. Okay.
Oops.
So we were here. Let's move one forward. Okay.
There we go.
So you can see here in the very upper right, you can see all the roots for the lobelia cardinalis. This is a giant, like the normal version that you see in garden stores. I think Kelly has this one, or like a different variety of it. It gets large. Um, I wouldn't recommend it for a small tank. At minimum, you would want 18 inches of water column, not just the tank height, but water column, so that it has time to grow and send off side shoots before you trim it again. And this is one of those plants where if you don't have a deep enough substrate, you need lead weights to keep it down, because the stem is so thick and all the roots are really buoyant. So the plant will float right back up if you do not have a good enough, like a deep enough substrate to hold it. So I use lead weights to hold it in, because I have fluffy stratum. Even with 3 inches, 3.5 inches of substrate, it doesn't stay down. So yeah. And then you can see in like the bottom left, you can see that Aponogeton that I'm trying to propagate, that you also have some, Stephen.
Oh yeah. While I'm thinking about it, let me real quick switch to my screen just because I
All
wanted to
right.
show you. Like you sent me some of this. I have it in every tank, but it's grown the tallest in Jenna's tank. It's the only tank
Mhm.
where it doesn't have CO2.
Yeah.
So do you know, like, I thought you had just sent me the mini version, but
All of
it
that is
does get
mini. That's
okay.
all mini. Yeah. So
It's
the
just getting a
giant
little
one, the
taller.
leaf shape is different. The leaf shape in the giant one is more ovalish, and the lobelia here will have tiny, smaller leaves. So all of that's the same mini type. Yeah. None of that's a giant stuff.
Okay, cool.
But it's a very healthy, like what you've got is pretty healthy. It's doing better than it has in my tanks, usually, because
Yeah.
I let it, I shade it too much for its own good. So,
Oh yeah, this is getting direct light right
yeah.
now. But yeah, this is the stuff I was thinking about trimming down and transporting to the pond.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, it'll grow outside. I have pictures of it being grown immersed. I don't know if I have them here. I can probably upload while we're talking or later when we're doing questions. But it looks pretty nice out, like grown above the water.
Scuba says, anyone want to get matching tattoos at the Clash? I'll pay.
Rico
Do I
might
get to choose?
sign.
Can I choose a tattoo
Yeah, yeah, if Scuba agrees, yeah. I'm
and
speaking on Scuba's behalf apparently.
the artist as well?
Yep.
I am not just going to find no random Morgantown, Pennsylvania tattoo artist.
We could do what the fish on people.
Oh my god, permanent what the fish.
Yep.
All right,
All
so
right. So I'm
yes,
gonna go back one slide real quick.
okay.
Because on this view you can see the filtration that I have in this tank. I've never shown like the filtration that I have in this tank. So you can see that this tank relies a lot on flow. Like these filters in the back, there's 3 hang-on packs. They're only there for the purpose of flow. Like that's the only thing they
Mm,
do. They do have filter floss in them just to like catch up some of the debris and all that stuff, but I mainly have it in there for flow and that one power in the corner. So you can see that there's 3 hang-on packs, 1 air line, a CO2 line, and there's a power head that you can't see up there. So yeah.
that's a lot of flow. Like I've got,
Oh, it's a blender in there. Yeah. But when the plants grow tall, it's dead flow because it's so many plants, it just chokes out all the flow, which is why I need all that strong flow just to keep things moving. Otherwise, the CO2 just stays in that one corner once all the plants grow up.
yeah, yeah. In the 40 plant farm, I just have an AquaClear 50, which is like an underpowered filter for that tank.
Uh-huh. But you have
And
decent flow in there. I have so many plants and they all get tall. I just can't manage with
yeah,
just
well,
the hang on
yeah, when
packs.
I can neglect that plant farm for a month and then there's a problem. I have the co-op power head on the other side, and that's a really
Mhm.
strong power head, so that helps a lot.
But yeah, for this tank, I need all that equipment to make enough flow.
Got to pull up this comment for a second. Myrtle can get a baby shark. Yep, he's gone.
Anyways, so after this, we're gonna go back to this slide. So this is just another top-down view of how, with even with 3 inches of water, you can't see to the bottom of the tank. Um, but something interesting in this picture, you can see on the left-hand side by where my face is, that little long stick, the little protrusions that are coming out of it, those are seeds for the Apanageton that's all the way on the right side of this picture.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so hopefully the seeds are like some of the seeds aren't thick enough for that. I know that when they're not thick enough, they're not actually going to turn into actual plants. So some of them are
Right.
thick, some of them aren't. So it depends on the flower itself.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, when I do get the seedlings to pop off of the little inflorescence, I put them into either a breeder box or I put them into little cups that I have for the aquarium, just outside until they get a large enough root structure that I can plant them into the soil. And you can see that the Alternanthera, as usual, is doing terrible in this tank. Like I had multiple stems of it, now I just have the one sad little stem that's doing miserable. It never does well in this tank.
Yeah, I have in one tank the whatever that variety that Mike has that he nicknames
Oh,
Pain in the
the
Butt.
Ossipus or something?
Yeah, I don't even
Probably.
know.
Yeah.
Like if you
Or the
tell
other one. Yeah.
me if you tell me now, I'm gonna forget it in 5 minutes.
Mhm.
Um, that one's been kind of That one's been kind of fussy for me. It like comes back and then dies out and all that.
And you know what frustrates me? We're plant nerds and we can't grow this plant, but freaking Scotty, man, he has the best alternate there of all three of us. And he has the
I,
same one that you have, I think. He has alternate there thriving in his tank. Before the H2O2 apocalypse, of course, but like he has it thriving in his tank. And then we struggle with it. So it really is one of those plants where it does well or it doesn't, even though it's easy to grow.
I wonder why. Um,
Yeah.
it definitely suffers when there's too much light, like it because
Oh
it's
yeah,
such
for
a
sure.
slow
You have to
grower.
have it in a lower light or shaded area. Not shaded, but
Oh
no
yeah, if you
direct light.
shade it too much, it gets leggy and dies
Oh
out
yeah.
too. Like it's
hmm
so damn
The
fussy.
leaves will all fall, like detach, and then the stems will become thin.
Oh,
Oh,
we can
Scotty's saying
take.
it's not doing well anymore. Okay,
All
so the
right,
curse
we
has
feel
gotten to you
better.
too. I
Feel
feel
better
much
about
better.
ourselves.
Yep. So it's not just us anymore.
Nice.
Yeah.
Let's see. Terry had to leave.
Welcome back.
Have a good day. Hope to see you back this week or next week.
Yeah, and I'm glad to see you coming into the community. So
Yeah,
nice.
totally.
And moving on to the next slide. This is a week after everything is done. I've planted back all the stems. I threw out, well, not threw out, but I shipped a whole bunch of stems out. So I didn't keep a lot of species. I don't have that Pogo 7 Dasset anymore. I don't think, at least. I might have one stem in there that made it past all the trimming.
Mm.
I drastically lessened the amount of Limnobel I have and Ludwigia lacustre. I still kept both of them because they are plants that I don't want to pay for again, and I like the look of them. But the background I've changed from fast growing stuff to mainly slow growing bacopas, like they in compared to what I had before. I have a Bacopa Salzmani and Colorada in a mix. I can't tell between them really easily. And then that Persicaria in the back. So that's pretty much all that I have in the back. Maybe a Ludwigia Reuben. But other than that, I kept it all out. I took out all of the Cypress alferi because it was just a staghorn algae magnet in this tank. It was growing at staghorn like crazy. I pulled out
Oh,
all of that
really?
Vallisneria. Yeah,
Mm.
it just because of the serrated edges on site. Like if you'd ever hold cypress and you try to run your finger against it, it's very quite sharp. So
Mm.
I'm guessing it's the staghorn's holding on to it on
True.
tank
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
grow. Yeah, and it's really hard to pull out. So once it's on there, it's on there. So
I
I
don't
pulled
have
that
much
stuff
of
out.
it. It got
Yeah.
it got really tall and then it started growing
Mhm.
algae on it and then so like I don't care about it that much so I just trim it down to nothing and then it regrows and I
You
do
trim it
little
down.
sprigs.
I never touch my cypress because I don't want to like make it go sad. So the
Oh,
only
it's
time I
going like
trim,
I don't care about it that much, so I will trim it ruthlessly when it pisses me off and then it will come back and it's
yeah.
slow. It takes a while, but it always
Oh, it
comes back.
definitely takes
I'm
a
just
while to
not
bounce back. Yeah.
yeah,
The only thing
I'm
I'll
not
do
worried
is
about
if
it.
there's like a leaf that was really bad looking or dying or has a lot of algae, I'll rip it, I'll pull it off from the base. And then when I'm splitting the plant itself, I'll just pull out all the bad leaves and plant it in. So, oh, I lied. I actually have some left. So in the very left-hand side underneath the power head, you can see I have two plants of Cypress Elfry that I kept because they were clean and I wanted to just have it just for prosperity's sake. So I pulled almost all of the cypress out, and I pulled out all of that freaking door Sagittarian that was growing taller than Vallisnerias. So I pulled all of that out, um, and I trimmed out the lobelia so it's not all the way at the top. So other than that, yeah, that's the tank now.
So your Bacopa, Salzmani, and what was the other one you got?
Colorado,
Colorado. Are they both
yep.
green or are they getting some
They
like
get they
purplish?
get some color on them, but they don't nearly get as much color as like the actual purple Salzmani. This is also a Salzmani. It's just not that super deep purple form. I think it's just a pink one. I don't know which one it is. I just know it's a Salzmani. The Colorado gets a bronzish color to it. It in the
Uh,
morning, and then it loses all of that color by the end of the day.
oh, cool,
Yeah, it's one of those plants where it doesn't have color throughout the day. Also,
cool.
Luke, I did see your comment. I do not want more Datsun. I pulled it out for a reason. It's too big in this tank. It when it's sad and it looks miserable, but it was getting to the point where it's really happy in my tank now, and I did not want it to take everything over because the stems were getting like half an inch thick, and I did not want uh, it to take over everything that was in the front.
Speaking of Dassin,
Mhm.
um, So I pulled it all out of my 40. I put it
Mhm.
in the plant farm, but I'm like, I think maybe in this bottom right corner might be Limnophila aromatica.
It looks like Limnophila aromatica, I guess. But well, it kind of does because it also has two cross-like of a shape. So it's all. I'm doubting that it's Limnophila aromatica.
Hmm.
But if it were a little bit more world, like the leaves had a world texture, they would. It no, it's Limnophila aromatica. It's just growing a little bit weirdly in your tank. Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
because it was getting snuffed out. Like it just
Mhm.
wasn't doing that great.
Yeah.
Because it's got the serrations.
That's definitely aromatic. I guess there's
Okay.
nothing else where to doubt. But the rest of that stuff you do have, it's Pogostium and Tassin, and it's doing pretty good. It's not growing thick, so it's pretty manageable in a tank, and the leaves aren't curling or anything. So got a healthy specimen. Is just young. In
Yeah,
time, they will get thicker.
I trim it down a lot because
Hmm.
it gets leggy and annoys me and looks ugly. And
Yeah.
yeah, I just decided it's not suited for that tank. I need something. Plus, I have that backlight in that tank, and I need something thicker that covers the backlight, except for like where I want it to show through at the end point. And this just like
Uh,
doesn't cover up the light.
you now have good luck with Rotala, Boliki and Bossy and all of the other fine leaf ones,
Glossy
right?
eye will only cooperate in my distilled
In the
water.
bowl? Okay, yeah. But
Yeah,
Wallachii, can it
the
do well in
licky
this
eye
plant farm?
works.
Okay, yeah. Wallachii
Yeah.
will should do fine because it grows bushy and
Mhm.
dense. You can do
Yeah.
that. But let's go back to the Dassen for a second. So interesting. It stays nice. It stayed nice and short and very compact when I had it running in no CO2 and really low light. Back when I did not, when I took out the CO2 in this tank and I had just two cheap night crews, it was really short and compact and nice. It was beautiful. Well, this was like months and months ago. I don't have a picture for that in this
Mhm.
slides anymore, but it would stay, it would not get any taller than like that. And the leaves are really compact. And the same plants, as soon as I turn the CO2 on and I turn the lights on, it blooms. As expected, it grows large because there is more carbon for it to fixate and like grow
Right.
large. So it's just one of those plants that really needs a 240-gallon tank that's 2 feet tall, 2 feet deep, so that it has room for it to spread not just laterally, vertically, but laterally as well. So yeah.
Yeah. So Zen says, speaking of takeover, if I remove the giant sword from the CO240, since it's a foot and a half tall now, do you think it would make it in a lower light 2 foot deep bow tank with no CO2?
It will die back, but it will come back.
Yep,
Yeah.
it will recover.
Hmm.
Um, and it will eventually start reproducing again.
Yep. It'll send out more of those spikes with more swords in them. Yep. Yes,
Yeah.
look, that's the other one that I was also thinking of, the Any. Yep, Rotala Any. They all look very similar, so I just, if you have one, use it. Don't go looking for all three varieties. They're pretty much the same. Um, yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, I took a picture of my 15-gallon as well, and I just realized I suck at maintaining my planted tanks because I'm like,
It
they look
looks
good
nice.
from
It looks
afar,
much
but
better
then
than looks much
yeah,
better than my tank. Like when it's out of control, it's definitely very in control.
then I see like algae on the walls, but and then
I mean, who
algae in the
doesn't have
back
algae on
there.
their walls? I had algae in that picture that I took. There's algae on all four walls. I just didn't bother.
Mhm.
I just changed the focus so you don't see it. So yeah.
But look, check it out. I had this little guy survive, and I didn't
Yep.
do anything. It hatched in the tank and lived. It's a,
Um,
Habrosis,
mhm.
Corey. But so this is a fluval spec.
Mhm.
The
Is it
spec,
the one with the default light in there?
yeah, it's the spec 15. It's
Mhm.
not, the lighting on this one is not as bad as the spec 5. Like it's not super
Where
blue.
it's that little like tiny little crappy thing.
Yeah, but
Mhm.
it is definitely it's definitely reached the limits of what it can do. So like you can tell the S repens over here is getting tall because like
Mhm.
it's not, but it's also not getting leggy, which is good. So what I want to do with this tank is like make it, since it's small enough, I could probably stand to maintain it as like a properly kept Dutch style,
Mhm.
but I want to just take the lid off of it and put a Chihiros on it.
That would work. Yeah, you could. Your Rotalas will definitely stay
Yeah, like you can
compact a
see the
bit more and they
Rotala
get
is back
bushier. Yeah,
there, and yeah,
it'll get a
like
little
the stems
bushier.
back there.
The
Hmm.
Hygrocompacta, which I believe Hygrocompacta in the back
Yep,
corner over there should grow a bit more wider. Right now it's very narrow. It'll probably go
yeah,
wider.
yep. It's tucked back there in the corner, so you can see everything that is in the mid ground right here is what I'm keeping under like directly under the light. So like this is oop, the Wallachii. I
Hmm.
just did a trim on it, so yeah. See, that's a, it's not the greatest. It gets close to the light, it looks better, but you know, for my water parameters, it's fine. This is Lagonodrome buldii red.
Hmm.
Not so much red on it. So yeah, like there's some things that are doing okay, but then like if I neglected it, they start to get snuffed out. And I think a Chihiros would do.
It should, yeah. It'll keep things nice and compact, and you'll probably see more color out of the plants too.
Yeah, I think so. So that's the more short term plan with that. Was there another slide on yours?
No, I think that was the last one. Yeah, the final image. Yeah.
Okay.
Also, yes, Kyle, I have frozen somehow. I'm moving on
Oh,
my end. I am alive.
I
I'm
didn't
just
realize you were frozen.
frozen in a very hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you still though.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah. I was making sure I was talking and nodding just to make sure that like people can hear.
let's see. Is Austin up next?
I believe he is, and I will have to pop off at like 6 o'clock, 6:05, like my time, because I have a class at 6:30 that I have to make it to. So yeah, I want
Okay, yeah, that's
unfortunately
cool. I
this
figure
semester
we'll,
around. Yeah,
yeah,
get
I
logged
figure we'll
out.
just stop at the hour anyway.
Hmm.
I got stuff to do as well. So, yeah, I don't see if he's scheduled or not. It's all right. Cool. Let's
So
see. Are there
while
any
we're here,
questions?
I want to recommend everyone go to Fishcord and look up in the Fish Fam Link channel. There are some well, not keyboard shortcuts, but like little Easter eggs for you to put into the chat, which will let you interact with the Fish Fam Link YouTube channel. So if you put in FFL joke, it'll tell you a joke. FFL
Oh, in the
GMAT.
fish
I am doing very good at advertising this right
in the
now.
fish board.
Yep, in Fishcord. Let's see, what are the channel names? We have, if you say FFL joke, it'll tell you a joke. If you say FFL knock knock, it'll tell you a different type of joke. It'll be a knock knock joke. You
Mm.
can also ask who's next. Of course, it isn't working right now, but that feature will be implemented soon once Matt gets it working.
Yeah, I saw Fish Fam link in chat, but I guess there's a different thing that that has to be working for it to
Yeah, to
tell
work with
jokes.
the actual channel itself to populate the
Uh, oh, I
content.
see a joke just a few minutes ago to Zen. What do you call a fish that won't shut up? A big mouth bass.
Yep.
Yay,
And
Linky's
then a couple
okay.
more to Jenna. Yep. What's Fish's favorite book? 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Kind of a joke, but not really. What did the fish say to the sailboat? You're so windy. We need to get Kyle to work with Matt to make some good jokes.
The Japanese rice fish can tolerate a wide range of temperatures and is often kept in outdoor ponds in Japan. I
That's a
think they're
fun
kept
fact,
in
yeah.
outdoor ponds here too.
Hmm.
I should get some.
You should get
Well,
more. Oh, you should get some, yes, definitely.
yeah, I don't have any rice fish. I have the gold white clouds, which I haven't put them in the pond because I feel bad putting them in the bathtub pond, like
Hmm.
bath water temperature pond. I
Yeah,
can't
you
believe
probably
that the
want a human
Japanese
pool.
rice fish is kept in Japan.
Who
All
would have
right.
thought?
Okay.
And
Well,
Kyle, yes, make
it's
more jokes.
make more jokes. All right. Well, it's at the hour. I guess we'll go ahead and call it. and
Yep.
an hour until Scotty goes live, and the Metalheads also going live at
Yep.
6
And
o'clock.
then I believe Grant and Shelby will be going live at 9:30 Eastern, one of the two.
Mhm.
Unless the
Yep.
hurricane comes their way. I don't remember when it's touching down, so they might not be going live today. I don't know.
I think they have a couple of days before they have to
Hopefully,
panic,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. They're used to it though. It's Florida. They get hurricanes all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's hard to get used to when like
No, I think it was just a joke, by the way. I'm not saying that they're used to the weather or anything, but yeah.
when I just look at the hurricane paths and see them going to Florida, I'm just like, "Phew, okay, good.
Yep.
It's
Dodge a
not
bullet right
coming
there.
here."
Yep. Every time. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll see y'all Friday night
Hmm.
for Mixed Streamy, and then we'll be back next week for Wet Your Plants. And Bex is streaming this Saturday, so I'll be
Oh,
there as
nice.
well. So,
With a weekend water change. Yep.
all right. See y'all
All
later.
right. Later. I am waving. You just can't see me wave. Bye bye.